Hey everyone, I am here with Jonathan Mura. I'm sorry if I just butchered your last name, Jono.
Yeah,
But
all good, bro.
he
Yep.
won our regionals with Kinemon. It was a 9 round event, so he went 9-0, which is an incredible achievement. So congratulations, Jono. You've made the DBS community very proud for having a conversion rate of we had top two players were Dragon Ball players, so I'm very happy. But I'll let you take it away with your Kinemon deck profile.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, just off the bat, DBS helps a lot for One Piece. So if you've only ever played One Piece, definitely give Dragon Ball a try. If you like Dragon Ball and want to play another card game, it helps a lot. But Kinemon is, in my opinion, the best deck. It's very close between this and Zoro, but at least for my playstyle, definitely Kinemon. He's super strong. Why do you play this guy over Eustace Kid? And the reason is the early game is just so strong. Feel like the meta for set two is pretty fast. There's a lot less of this kind of like sit back, don't attack, deny resources. The decks are just too efficient. They draw too many cards. It's pretty fast and furious at the moment. But we'll go into the deck, and probably the biggest reason why you play this leader over Kid, we've got for Yamato. She is really good for two reasons. Number one is resting anything six or less. That's pretty big. You can pretty much rest anything in the meta that isn't like an endgame boss. And 6,000. 6,000 is higher than 5,000. So it's very, once she comes down early, it takes a lot of resources to get rid of her. She's just a great card. You can play her as for turn two straight away, and once you're doing that, you're setting up for a good position. Next up, we've got Okiku. Uh, then another broken early game play, as most people know, is if you go second, you can play Okiku on turn one, which is pretty broken. 5k turn one with the rest effect. You can just really clear the board. Uh, I'm talking about these cards first because the big strength of this deck, I think, is winning the board early and then just overwhelming with your big characters, just holding that tempo and just finishing them off before they can do anything about it, really. And going to the MVP of the deck, in my opinion, we've got Kazuki Odin. This guy is an absolute monster. He basically won me every single game. I had very good luck to see him every match. But essentially, when you use Kinemon's ability, you can play him when you have 7 Don. And once this guy sticks, if you have enough life or board presence for him to just stick around, he's gonna just steal the game. He's just so much value, the restand, and even he's really a must clear target. But the thing is, when you KO him, he gets a 3 drop from the deck. So you could either get Raizo, Ezo, or Okiku. Probably 80% of the time you're getting Okiku. I did have one match, a mirror match, where they were going all in on the Yamato finish and just trying to deny me hand. So I got a Raizo in that case. But besides that, anytime someone clear this, I just got an Okiku. A new card from the new set, which is pretty good, is Toki. She is a 1 drop blocker if you have an Odin. So obviously the Odin we just showed is an Odin, but also the Yamato is also an Odin. So you do have a fair few targets to make her live. And if she's not live, something that sets her apart from other 1 drop blockers is having that 1k counter. So I think 2 out of 3 times I saw this card, I was able to play it as a blocker. Otherwise, it was just extra counter in my hand, which is very important. You don't want a lot of dead cards in your hand. All right, so 1 drops, the early things that we want to be playing. For Bonnie, Bonnie is just great to get uh, a few things. Either the Scratchman 2k counter. I might call 2k super combos just because I'm used to Dragon Ball, so I'll just. But yeah, so she'll get the super combo Scratchman. She can get the Killer Blocker, and she can get the 7 drop Kid. Are all great targets, but she's not as good in Kinemon as Kid. The next 1 drop is the main searcher, and that's Momo. Momo can grab pretty much anything. Most games you're hunting for Odin. If you haven't seen Odin yet, you can get a 2k counter Ezo, you can get Yamato, you can get a Kiku, you can get a Toki blocker. Basically 80-90% of your deck you can get. You can also get event cards and things like that. Next is Beiji, 1-drop blocker. Nothing really much to say here. 1-drop blockers are just very good. The big difference between One Piece and Dragon Ball is that there's no counter-attack negates in One Piece. So realistically, the only way to stop a giant attack without losing most of your hand is to have a blocker established on the board that's able to block. So cheap little blocker, it's great in every deck. Any color that can play a 1-drop blocker, you probably want to go hard on them. Now I've gone for 3 X-Drake. X-Drake is really good at the moment. There's a lot of things he pops, especially in the mirror match against the 4-drop Yamato. That's probably the best way to deal with her. Zoro, Red Rush Zoro, he was getting popped a lot because there's just heaps of Zoro running around at the moment. He's just a great card at the moment. Just one thing to note, if you run into Smoker, he can't pop Borsalino. So be careful on that one. All right, next up we've got Threezo. 3 is probably the right number here. He's not bad to see. He doesn't do heaps of damage because of the 4,000 power. But he, again, with Kinemon's power, if you don't see a Kiku, you can play him turn 1. And you can combo him with a Searcher or something already on the board just to get that extra card advantage. So he's just a good Wayno card to put in the deck. Next up, we have the Killer Blocker. This is the one part of my deck. I had been testing a few versions of this deck. And on this list, I've ended up, and this is the one guy who felt kind of underwhelming, so to speak. I feel like there's a lot of effects right now that just tap or KO small blockers. But he is a good card, and when he does work, it's great. I feel like the 4 or 5 times I played him, he got killed or tapped 4 out of 5 times, so it's kind of rough. But maybe a 2 of anyway. We'll see how that goes. Next, no brainer, 4 Ezos. It's 2k counter, and you can play it for 2 Don with Kinemon ability if it's live. I did play this a lot against Zoro. It was more impactful to rest one of their many things on board, kill it, establish a 3k body to clear another 1 or another 2 or 3k later. It's worth more than the counter power in that matchup, I reckon. Just a great card. Another 2k counter, Scratchman. I never played him once in the tournament. There is maybe a niche scenario where you can play him against Whitebeard, perhaps, but they can also clear him pretty easy, so I don't know. So 99% of the time, he's just a searchable 2k counter. So very good. All right, 3 big kid blockers. Even though this is a new green leader, this card is just so much value. And again, going over the general plan for the deck is win the board early, set up some must kills early, and then when you get to 7 Dawn, either drop the Odin or the Kid and just take the game from that point. Being able to swing 8k and restand for a giant blocker once he's on board every turn, or if you can even establish 2 at a time, it's just a really strong board state, which is very important in this game. All right, so we get to the events. We've got 1 Waterfall, 3 Punk Gibson. Now the ratios are a bit weird here, but I feel like the deck space is so tight that if I'm going to have a 1 of, it's going to be this card. It is good. It comes up if you want to save your Okiku or Yamato early when the opponent's trying to clear it, or you can combo it with a Kid blocker for a double block. or just a cheap another 2K to put on your leader. It's not a bad card. There's only space for one, I think, at the moment. The better event card is Punk Gibson. Punk Gibson is just really great. 4K counters are really good at the moment. Because again, like Dragon Ball, there's no negates. You can only block, and if they can remove your blockers, you really need to find a lot of power somehow. So it is important to have event cards. I think this one is great because the utility of resting a 4 or less is really good in certain situations. You can either slow down another one of their attackers, or you can tap down one of their blockers to come in and finish them on the crack back, which is also the trigger effect. It's hard to hit, but it is a thing. It's definitely, I've lost games before to this trigger effect. It's definitely a factor. So if you can get lucky off that, it never really happened in this tournament, but it's devastating when it does happen. Yeah, that's basically the deck list. I probably didn't touch on everything about it. Did you have any questions, Max?
Yeah, so first of all, list looks beautiful. You've done an amazing job building it. I guess first question is, did you consider the Yamato Secret Rare, the double banish beauty?
Yes, absolutely. So I had been testing this deck ever since set 2 came out and before it, a few different iterations. The 4-drop Yamato is a very incredible card when it does work. The keyword being does, when it does.
For sure.
It's yeah, it's easily removed by a purple jet pistol, tap it down in green, and it's only 5K. Uh, the other thing is, if they can establish and hold a blocker, you're just really not getting max value on that card. So even though you can play it for 4 instead of 5 in Kinemon, I just found it that it was really lacking. There could be an argument for like a cheeky one of somewhere in the list, but just in my testing overall and this meta, I just felt like just a general strong tempo game was the way to go. So as much as I love that card, it just didn't fit in the overall game plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. The next question I got for you is one of the cards that you see in most green decks is the 5-cost Law Blocker that does the little switcheroo shambles effect. Why have
Yeah.
you decided not to run it in your list?
Yeah, so like I play a lot of red green law also, and that guy is just an absolute all-star in that deck.
Oh, 100%.
Obviously. Yeah, for sure. Um, but look, if we go over the list and we think about what we want to pick up or put down, you know, this current list really the only kind of value we could generate would be to pick up, say, a 1-drop searcher or pick up an EZO and then either replay the EZO or play a searcher. There's just not as many targets as the old lists or Green Kid, mainly because we're not running Nekomamushi anymore. The cat viper.
Yeah, yeah,
Because there's just a lot of 4-drops or higher these days, so he doesn't tap as much. So as nice as it is to like pick back up a 2K for 5 Don, it's just better. There's better plays on that turn, in my opinion, and we do have quite a lot of blockers already, or
yeah.
kind of low to the ground. So yeah, he just doesn't fit in my opinion. He just doesn't get that insane value that we get from other options and other decks like Law.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And he also does get jet pistoled, which I guess is something we do want to avoid when we can. And I guess you did already answer my last question, which was, have you considered Nekomushi to kind of get that extra EZO effect, especially against Zoro?
Yeah, I
Um,
did. I was running around with lists with a 1 of or a 2 of. Like if you want to, if you find a lot of small blockers in your meta, and it's just with that one push through to go for game when you have to, definitely you could easily just put a cheeky 1 or 2 of. But he is not as great as he was in OP1, in my opinion.
yeah,
We
definitely.
have with the new Yamato. and Ezo, it's a lot of resting you can do already in the early game. And then when you get to that late game, the idea is just have big giant characters on board that you don't have to they're going to attack with their characters and then you can clear them or you can just kill them but at that point. So we've got enough cards to win that early game already.
Yeah, definitely. No, that makes it makes a lot of sense. Do you remember what your matchups were in a
Yeah.
yeah.
So I played the two kind of spicy decks I played, so to speak, were one Doflamingo with a couple of the new Warlord support, the new 6K and the other one I forgot. But yeah,
Yep.
that was fine. Dofi's still good, I reckon. But it is again, once the big kids and the big Odins are established, they're just such value generators that the game just gets stolen away once
Yeah,
they stick
definitely.
and
Green's
you have enough
always
light.
had a pretty good blue matchup, so it seems like it's true for this format as well.
Yeah. Yeah, again, one thing I will mention, why I'm not playing the Eustace Kid either, the 8 drop. He smashes blue for sure, but
Yeah.
there's just more in OP2 that clears him. And when you face the mirror match, see, one of my later games as a little offshoot, that it was a mirror match, and the opponent dropped his 8 cost kid, but I had an Odin established at that point, and he even had 2 kid blockers, and just that much pressure that Odin provided, they all died that turn, just
Yeah.
all gone.
I watched that
So
game on stream. It was pretty beautiful to
it was
see you
yeah,
just
it's
clear the board.
brutal. It was brutal, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had one Doffy. We had one Eustace Kid. Again, the fact that I was able to play Yamato earlier than he could play Yamato, the fact that I was able to play Odin earlier than he could play Odin, it just stole me that game. So even when it got to the point of the late game where the kid dual attack ability is just so valuable, it just didn't matter. I was just so far ahead at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just a tempo monster. And then from there, it was all Kinemon and all Zoro. So yeah, I think it was 3 Kinemon and 4 Zoro.
That's crazy. You de-
Yeah, so they're really Zoro and Kinemon are definitely the most popular decks. If they weren't already, they will be now.
yeah.
I think that's for a reason. They're super duper strong. Every time I sit across from a Zoro, I'm definitely sweating. But you just need to deal with their board early and then stay on high enough life that you can establish a 7 drop or an 8 drop Odin and just outvalue from there.
Yeah, no fair. You definitely did an amazing job this weekend, Jono. Did you have any shout outs that you wanted to give before we wrap this up?
Oh, thanks so much, man. Yeah, I'd love to give a shout out to Grimdark Gaming. That's my favorite store I play at and part of the team I play on. They're just the best store in Australia, in my opinion. They're just great. Definitely check out their website if you're in Australia and want to buy singles or anything like that. I want to give a big shout out to Tack, the streaming boys from Double Sleeves, Max, and all the other judges that judge that day. I've never seen an online tournament, at least in Australia, with that many runners. That was crazy. And the
It
fact
really
that it
was,
just
yeah.
went, yeah. And the fact that it was just ran so smoothly was incredible. So shout out to all the organizers involved there. That was really good. And then shout out to all the people at locals I play and test with. Definitely helps a lot. And yeah, that's it. Just shout out to the community. I'm really glad that One Piece is out and it's thriving and looking forward to more tournaments in the future.
Yeah, too easy. Well, thanks a bunch, Jono, and I'm sure we will see you down in Melbourne in April.
Yeah, dude, I'll see you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, sounds good. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you guys next time. See ya.